Hi everyone, you're welcome to my channel. If you're a returning subscriber, you're welcome back to my channel. So today I'll be teaching how to draft this simple palazzo trouser. So with me here, this is the measurement that's where to measure from. So with me here, I have my pattern paper, I have my ruler, my scissors, my marker, and I'm going to go ahead to start drafting the trouser pattern. So from my paper, because I'm going to be using one paper to draft both the back and the front, so I'm going to be coming down by 4 inches or 3 inches if you wish. So here I came down by 3 inches, and then I'm going to rule a straight line on that point I came down by. After doing that, I'm going to be taking the full length of this palazzo trouser, which is 40 inches. Now I'm going to be minusing 1.5 inches for the band. You can make use of 2 inches, you can make use of 3 inches, depending on how bold you want the waistband to be. So from that my line now, I will take it as my starting point, as my waistline. I'm going to be minusing that 1.5 inches for the band before taking my full measurement. So now from there, I will come down by 8 inches for my hip point. That is from my waist to my hip, and then I'll come down by 12 inches for my crouch point. And this is how to measure it. You can see it on my screen, how to take your crouch measurement. So now I'll go ahead and then I will rule a straight line on those points I marked out. So now after doing that, I'm going to go ahead and label this my waistline, the first line my waistline, the second line there my hip line, and then my crouch line. Now from my crouch line, I'm going to come down by 3 inches to get my thigh line. You can make use of 4 inches if you wish. Now I'll rule a line on that point I marked out. So this is for my thigh line. Now, still minusing my 1.5 inches for the band, I'm going to take the full length of my trouser, which is 40 inches. So sorry guys that particular page didn't show, but you're still going to be seeing it. So now from my crouch line, that is where I'm going to be taking my hip measurement that I divided by 4. So I'm going to place the measurement there, and then I'll add 1 inch for ease. Very important. Now I'm going to measure what total of what I have there, which is about 11.5. Now I'm going to be marking that 11.5 on my hip line and also my waistline. So now I'll use my ruler to connect those points I marked out on each line. After doing that, from my crouch line, I'm going to be coming out by 2.5 inches. If the person has body or have like bumps, you can make use of 3 inches. Now I'm going to connect it this way, meeting my hip line, just like this. Now I'm going to be taking my waist measurement. My waist measurement divided by 4 will give me 9.5 inches. So I'm going to mark the 9.5 inches there, and then I'll be adding 1 inch for the dart intake. I'll mark it there and also take 1 inch for ease. Very important. Now from that point there, I'm going to connect it in a curve method, meeting my hip line this way. So after doing that, I'm going to measure what I have on my crouch line. what I have is 14. I'm going to be dividing it by 2. So I'll have 7 inches. Now this will enable me to know where to place my darts from. Now I'm going to measure that 7 inches on both my hip line and also my waistline. So now I'll mark the point after my minusing the 7 inches. I'll mark the point there. So from that point here, I'm going to be taking my dart intake. Now I'm going to be coming down by 3 inches for the dart intake at the front. And then I'll use my ruler to connect both points together. Now remember I took half 1 inch when I was taking the waist measurement. This 1 inch I took here. I'm going to be transferring it to the darts at the front, half inch on the other side, half inch on the other side. Now I'll connect it this way, meeting the 3 inches for the length. Now after doing that, from the front crouch part here, I'm going to be coming down by half inch, and then I'll connect it in a slopey way, this way meeting my waistline this way. So now this second line here, the second line here is my main waistline. Now I'm just going to go down a bit by half inch for my dart length. Now from my tie line, I'm going to take my tie measurement, which is 28 inches divided by 2 will give me 14 inches. So I will mark the 14 inches there, and then I will come down a bit and also mark the 14 inches. This will enable me to have like a straight accurate measurement. So now I will do the same thing closer to my full length line, and then I'll come to my full length line and mark the 14 inches also. Now I'm going to be using my curve rule to connect this way. If you notice, this particular place is not straight, is a little bit curved, and then now I'll be connecting it to that 14 inches point I marked down to my full length line. So now you can see my full length line. So this is basically for the front part. This is all for the front part. Now I'm going to go ahead and label this as my front part. I used my green marker to draft the front part. Now I'll be using my red marker to draft the back part. So from that my waistline, I'm going to be coming up by 2 inches. This is to give extension to my crouch line at the back. Now this is the reason why I came down by 3 inches or 4 inches before drafting the front part. Now I'm going to rule line on that point I came up by. So now I'm going to connect this way, meeting the front crouch line, just for you to understand better. Now from my crouch line, I'm going to be coming out by 2.5 inches. Remember, you can come out by 3 inches if the person have bumps. Now from my hip line, I'm going to be coming out by 2 inches. And then also from my waistline, I'll be coming out by 2 inches. Then from that line I took up with my red marker, I'm going to be coming out by 2 inches also. That is for the extension of my back crouch line. Now I'm going to connect to each point I marked out this way. I'm going to connect this new my back crouch line, meeting that line I have at the upper part. Now this is for the back crouch line. I'm going to mark in 1 inch from my back crouch at the top. Now I'm going to connect it this way from my hip line in a slant method, meeting that 1 inch at the top, because I don't want it to like tight or divide my bumps. That's the reason why I'm coming in by 1 inch. So I'll no longer be making use of this first line but the second one. So now after doing that, I'll come to my thigh line. I'm going to be marking 2 inches, and then I'll come down a bit and mark that 2 inches. Then to my full length line, I'll mark 2 inches. Now I'm going to connect the same way I connected it at the front. If as you can see, it's like a curve method. Now I'm going to be connecting it to those 2 inches I marked down to the full length line. So now from this my new crouch line at the back, that's where I'm going to be taking my waist measurement from. But first of all, I'm going to be measuring what I have on my front waistline. So now what I have there is 11 inches. I'm going to, from this point to this point here. Now I'm going to measure it from that my new crouch line at the back upwards. I'm going to measure, place my tape in a slant method and measure the 11 inches. Now I'm going to be using my ruler to connect it this way, meeting that 11 inches I took for the waist measurement. Now from that point there, I'm going to curve it, meeting my hip line, and that will be for the back waist line. This way. And this is all for the back part of this palazzo. Now I'm going to be labeling this particular part my back part. So I'll just go ahead and label this with my red marker. Now the next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking my dart measurement at the front, which is 4 and the half inches here, from this middle point at the dart intake at the front. Now I'll place my tape in a slant method this way to measure out the back dart, the 4 and a half inches I took for the front part. Now I'm going to be coming down by 4 inches to get the length of the dart at the back. Now I'm going to be using my ruler to connect both points together. And then I'll be using half inch, giving half inch to the other side, half inch to the other side, this way, and then connect back to the length in a slant method this way. And this is all for the back dart. So now I use my green marker to draft the front part, then I use my red marker to draft the back part. So go ahead to cut out the back part and place on your material, cut with half inch all round, but take note not to cut it from that red line because you're going to be making use of that green part line for the front part first. So please watch closely so you understand better. Now I'm cutting the back part. I'm going to be cutting it from this green line that I'm going to be making use of for the front part. Now I'll cut this straight down. Then I'll cut from the red line. This is for the back part. So now after cutting it this way, just go ahead to fold in. Remember that red line is the back measurement, the back normal measurement. So I'm just going to fold in that front part I'm going to be using to cut the front. I'm going to fold it in and then place this on my fabric to cut out the back part. So after I'm done cutting out the back part with half inch all round for the sewing allowance, I'm now going to open it and then cut out my front part, because I'll be needing that part I opened to cut out the front part. So that's the reason why I didn't cut it out from the beginning. Now to cut out the band, I've gone ahead to mark out 4 inches for the wideness, and then now I'm going to mark out my waist measurement, which is 38 inches. Now, after I mark out the 38 inches, I'm going to be leaving whatever amount of space I want: 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, 7 inches, depending on what the space you want to be leaving. So when you are done placing it, you can cut out the remaining SX. Now I'm going to be using one part of this for the lining and one part for the main fabric. This is the reason why I cut out 4 inches for the band. Now I'm going to be using half inch to sew this, then I'm going to be using half inch to close it back. Now I'm going to be using half inch to sew this from the back part, and then I will use half inch to close it. So when I measure what I have there, it's going to be giving me 1.5 inches. And this will be all for the palazzo trouser. So don't forget to subscribe, share, like, comment. I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.